this franchise. Injuries came at the wrong time.
Is this the biggest failure in NBA history?
Super teams, the cheat code, the shortcut to greatness, a dream on paper, and usually a disaster in reality. We've seen this movie way too many times. Shaq, Kobe, Malone, Peyton, guaranteed rings. KD, Kyrie, Harden, too much talent to fail. Kawhi and PG, the dynasty is coming. Guess what? None of them even made the finals. So why do these super teams keep crashing? Are the basketball gods just petty? Or is there something fundamentally broken about stacking stars? Today, we're going deep into the myth of super teams and exposing the 3 reasons they almost always fail, plus the exceptions that prove the rule. Let's go. Super teams look invincible on paper. 3 Hall of Famers. All-star games. Buckets for days. Seems like it should be automatic, right? But here's the truth. Talent doesn't stack linearly. It's not 30 points plus 25 points plus 22 points, 77 points per night. It's 30 points plus 25 egos plus 22 shot demands, a chemistry experiment with a short fuse. Look at the 2011 Miami Heat. LeBron, Wade, Bosh, all in their primes. Still, they started off 9-8. Why? Wade deferred. LeBron hesitated. Bosh got lost. It wasn't a basketball problem. It was a human problem. You can have the talent, but if you don't know who's the guy, you just get 3 guys standing around waiting. That's not basketball. That's awkward silence in HD. Same with the 2004 Lakers. They had more rings than a jewelry store. But Peyton didn't want to run the triangle. Shaq and Kobe were at war. Malone was injured. And they got bullied by a Pistons team with 0 superstars. That Pistons squad, they had trust. They had roles. They had chemistry. That's the part super teams always forget. You're not just adding skills. You're adding fragile egos, clashing styles, and limited shots.
But the Detroit Pistons have just shocked the Los Angeles Lakers.
And if those things don't align, you get dysfunction at scale. It's not just about what's on the roster. It's about what's under the surface. Because when pressure hits, super teams either click or they combust. Take the 2020 Clippers. Kawhi and PG, load management kings. But come playoff time, meltdown city. Blown 3-1 lead, locker room tension, and 0 identity. Because talent is a foundation, not a finish line. Basketball is rhythm, roles, flow. When everyone's alpha, nobody guards, nobody sacrifices, nobody buys in. That's why even teams with less talent, like the 2004 Pistons or the 2023 Nuggets, dominate. Because they know who they are. They play together, they play smart, they play like a team. Now let's talk about the cost. Because when you build a super team, you're not just adding stars, you're subtracting everything else. Bench depth, versatility, margin for error. When 3 guys eat up your entire salary cap, you're starting 3 Ferraris, but filling the rest of your garage with used Hondas. And when one of those Ferraris breaks down, good luck. Let's talk about the 2021 Brooklyn Nets. Harden, Durant, Kyrie, unstoppable on paper, until injuries turned it into Kevin Durant and friends. Playoff minutes went to Bruce Brown, Nicholas Claxton, Blake Griffin on his last legs. That's not a super team, that's a skeleton crew. Now contrast that with the 2014 Spurs. Only one true star, Duncan, but an army of reliable role players. Manu, Dia, Patty Mills, Bellinelli, Corey Joseph, all bought in, all knew their role, all delivered. That team didn't just win, they put on a masterclass. Because depth matters. Super teams often forget. You need more than names. You need options. You need insurance when things go wrong. And in the playoffs, things always go wrong. Injuries, fatigue, foul trouble. If your big 3 can't go 40 minutes every night, you better have a plan B. But most super teams barely have a plan A. So what happens when the bench gets exposed? They collapse. Just like Brooklyn, just like the Clippers, just like every paper champion before them. Super teams die in the details. Now here's the real killer, and it's invisible. Chemistry. You can't fake it, you can't buy it. And without it, talent falls apart. Let's go back to the 2004 Lakers. Shaq and Kobe, Gary Payton, Karl Malone, 4 Hall of Famers, all the talent in the world. But Payton didn't want to run the triangle. Malone was hurt. Shaq and Kobe, total civil war. They didn't trust each other. They didn't talk. They didn't believe. And they got outworked by the 2004 Pistons. Rip, Chauncey, Sheed, Ben Wallace. They weren't stars. They were a squad. Super teams often think names win games, but basketball is about rhythm, flow, trust. You can't just plug in talent like it's NBA 2K. You need fit. You need belief. You need sacrifice. The KD Kyrie Nets? No chemistry. The Russ Lakers? Chaos. Now compare that to the 2015 Warriors, or the 2021 Bucks, or the 2008 Celtics. They weren't just good. They were connected. They trusted each other. They covered for each other. They believed in the system. That's what wins titles. So yeah, super teams look great in theory. But in practice, they miss the most important ingredient, chemistry. And without it, it doesn't matter who you sign. They're just a bunch of solo acts playing out of sync. So, does this mean super teams can never work? Not exactly. There are exceptions. Teams that did stack stars and did win. But every successful super team had one thing in common. They made the sacrifice. Let's start with the 2008 Celtics. KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, three unselfish, battle-tested stars. They didn't compete against each other. They competed with each other. They bought into Doc Rivers' defense-first mentality. They played like grown men on a mission. That team had ego control, leadership, and buy-in from day one. Now look at the 2017 Warriors. KD joins a 73-win team, and instead of clashing, he blends in. He sacrifices shots. Steph gives up MVP numbers. They shared the spotlight. That team, that was a dynasty forged by humility. Even Miami by year 2, they figured it out. Wade gave the keys to LeBron. Everyone knew their lane. And the result? Back-to-back titles. So what separates a failed super team from a championship one? It's not the talent. It's the trust, the system, the sacrifice. Because when stars buy in, that's when super teams work. But when they don't, you just get a bloated highlight reel disappointment. So the next time you hear about a new big three forming, don't believe the hype just yet. Ask the real question. Do they have chemistry? Do they have depth? Do they know who they are? Because if not, it's not a super team. It's just a super trap. The NBA loves super teams. They make headlines. They sell tickets. They dominate the offseason. But when the lights come on, most super teams fall apart. Because basketball isn't about names on a poster. It's about fit, depth, chemistry, trust, and leadership. And if you don't have those, it doesn't matter how many all-star appearances you stack, you're going home early. So the next time a team trades their future for a big three, just remember, super teams don't fail by accident. They fail because the idea is flawed. And the league keeps learning that the hard way. Want to see the one super team that actually did work? And why they weren't like the others? That breakdown drops next, and trust me, you don't want to miss it.